all around the world, as the new year of 1943 began, the effects of a global war were really taking a firm hold. Hardship and deprivation were now simply a way of life. But for the Jews and the other ethnic and social groups targeted by Adolf Hitler's racial hygiene program, they were literally fighting for survival. However, at least by this stage, news of the terrible atrocities committed in the ghettos and concentration camps had reached the Allies, making leaders Winston Churchill and Franklin D. Roosevelt more determined than ever to end Hitler's reign of terror with the utmost expediency. The Allied position was stronger than it had ever been, yet Hitler and his Axis powers were still in a dominant position, even though towards the end of 1942 the chinks in the Axis armour were opening wider and wider. The German army on the Eastern Front was still surrounded in Stalingrad, and to all intents and purposes were on the brink of defeat, while in North Africa, Hitler's Desert Fox, Rommel, and his troops were still holding some ground, but were most definitely being given a hard time by the British Eighth Army and their commander, General Montgomery, affectionately known to his men as Monty. And in the Pacific, the Japanese were still counting their losses after the Battle of Midway as they struggled to restore their navy and get more pilots and navigators battle-ready to replace those killed in the decisive victory for the Americans. Yet despite the strengthening position of the United Nations, they were still failing to work closely enough to make an impact, and often seemed to be fighting their own separate battles.